I think we're live, Jessie. I think
I
this
think
is
we're
this
live.
is
I
it.
mean, it would be good if it does work. Maybe everyone can let us know if you see us, if you're there. Um, Hi to everyone. Um, we make sure everyone has some time to join. I'm pretty excited about this.
I am
Um,
super excited about this, Jessie, and finally just being live with you here online with all these people watching. It's always strange having like so many people just watching online, and then you're just kind of having a dialogue like you're in the living room with someone.
I know it's really, really nice. And I used to, I used to be really scared to go live. Like I hated lives. I hated being on camera. Let's be honest. I hated being on camera. And then you do your own business and you realize, okay, you have to get over yourself. You just have to do it. And now I actually really enjoy it because you meet so many cool people. You get to kind of, connect to the community, and it's really fun. So hopefully everyone today who's joining enjoys what we have, for you. So we're going to be on time because I'm in Germany and I feel like we need to be pünktlich. So we're going to be on time and we're going to start already. People will join in as they do. But welcome everyone and thanks for joining. As we're dropping in, by the way, please feel free to use the chat. It's on the side. You can click the little, button and you can drop in where you're, joining from. That's always nice. But we also have, I think, a couple of polls that we're going to put up at the beginning about your use of AI and automation at work right now. So if you want to jump in and do that, you can. But really, thank you just for joining both of us today. We're really excited. And for those of you who joined and don't know who I am and didn't join through, my link or through finding me on LinkedIn, I'm Jessie. I'm the founder of Stakkd, the HR tech database that hopefully you've heard of. And if you haven't, now you have. We make it easy to discover HR tech on the market and products in an unbiased way. And hopefully you can jump in and find products without having to, do those sales cycles and processes before you're ready. So we make it, hopefully as easy as possible. If it's not, then you better tell me it's not as easy as possible because that's my goal. Before I had Stakkd, I was the director of HR. So I was in people teams. I was looking at infrastructure, strategy, but also really around how do we do process that works in a scalable way. How do we automate things? How do we choose the right tooling? What do we put our resources into? Those kind of things. And prior to that, 10 years I was in transformation projects before I even touched HR. So I love change, I love doing new things, and I love building infrastructure in people teams. So that's me. And we have Kristjan here, who is from 50 Skills. He's the CEO and co-founder. And he's been, and by the way, 50 Skills is kind of, I'm going to call it the Zapier for HR. It's like an automation AI tool. It's really cool. We're going to jump in it today and see how easy it is to use. So he's joining us. He's got a wonderful background, working in leading European fintechs. He's worked across operations, product, HR. He's early builder of HR tech integrations. He's hyper focused on making things better in, through automation, through AI. And I'm excited to have you here. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Jessie. Super excited to be here and finally be live with you here and all these people talking about HR for AI.
Yeah.
And it's
I
like,
mean,
I've seen it. Sorry?
No, I was going to say, you have so much experience in this. I think you have like 20 years experience. I mean, this is why, I don't do these things a lot. I have to be honest to the audience here. This is my first one of these. So I'm amazed that we had this many signups and I hope more people drop in soon. But this is the first one I've done. And I was like, Kristjan just felt like the right person to do it with because I love your perspective on things. You've been doing this for a long time, and maybe tell us a little bit more about, your background and how you got into this kind of space as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I'm a natural problem solver. I've been helping startups for a very long time. So I kind of started in the startup space, helping people with ideas and problems to build businesses. So I founded Iceland's first accelerators. Like people would basically get funded, about 10 companies every summer, and we would try to take the ideas as far as possible during that time. And a lot of interesting businesses were built. I joined one of them. We raised like tens of millions in capital, and I was sort of the person responsible for all these processes, building it, setting everything up, hiring a lot of folks. And I think like during that process, I was, in a position where I met with so many different vendors, like trying to figure out how do I solve this problem? How do I solve that one? Doing meetings, deciding what to buy, buying it, implementing it, and those sorts of things. And I think during that process was actually when the idea for this company, 50 Skills, was built, about giving people agency to actually being able to map up processes and build what they want themselves, and without maybe the need of always talking to IT for help to get stuff done. So that's sort of how it all started.
And I love that because having been in that position where, and I'm sure a lot of the people joining today are in this position where you feel like that annoying person who's like, please, can you just fix that thing? Please, can you build this? And being able to do it yourself is, I think, what I'm so excited about with all the, I'm going to say, I mean, automation's not new, but it is the accessibility of automation, the types of tooling and how easy they are to use is changing and is getting better. And I think that's where, the whole thing about, we were talking about Kristjan earlier, and why we decided to do this was because we're both hearing on this, like from the community, from your clients, basically everyone in the space, also on LinkedIn, we've got the LinkedIn hype around AI. It's all about, AI agents and they're all doing everything for us and we don't need people. And it's like, okay, calm down. We were, there's somehow a challenge point, I feel like, in this space for HR. It's like there's so much mess and noise and hype. It's like, what is actually useful? Firstly, what even is AI agents versus AI workflow automations versus just an automation? What are they? When do you use them? For which use case? What are the use cases? Because I think without that kind of background understanding, it's very hard to look at prioritization. And that's what was 99% of my job was, where do we put the resources and where do we prioritize as a HR team? Because that's one of the, the business wants everything, or they think they want everything. But actually at the same time, HR's got limited resources and we're always stretched and we're always like, no one's ever happy with what we're doing. Let's be honest. We try our best, but usually people aren't happy with what we're doing, no matter how hard we try. And so, with prioritization, you can get people to, be on board and understand why you're not doing things, and that helps. So the whole, discussion around what to use and when to use it, if you don't have that background, it makes it much, much harder to get to that prioritized position and also know where the investment should go. So I think that's why today's session is important, because we get the base, and then from there we also get to see how we can do it practical. For me, I'm all about, like, if you leave this session and you didn't learn something new and you can't take something into your day-to-day work, then I've failed. So please tell me if we fail on that. We hope we don't. We want to share something useful. And in terms of the agenda, we're going to jump through a little bit of what I just talked around use cases, AI, automation, agents. What are they? When to use them? How to think about that in your day-to-day, life in HR. What kind of things can you use, and how easy it is going to come when we do the demo. So Kristjan's going to take the reins. He's going to show us a little bit about that later. But first, we're going to just jump into really that base understanding, so we're all on the same page. And for me, I live on LinkedIn, which is terrible, but I live on LinkedIn, so I see all the hype. I don't know if you see it too, Kristjan, but there's all this like AI agent, we're this, we're that, but actually 99% of it isn't an AI agent.
The terminology is all over the place, and I think it's very good to kind of just compare apples to apples. What are we talking about? So we actually prepared like this slide we kind of can walk through to simplify things, which would be great. But just before we go into it, like I had kind of the same thoughts here. Like everyone watching today, like I feel that once this session is over, you should be able to go and build your first workflow with AI agents. If you haven't tried it before, you should be able to finish it before the end of the day. That's the objective. And we want to like show you how that's done, how it works, but also just like feeling whatever tools fit for you, kind of just talking about the options. But I think, Jessie, like and just before I go into it, I'm a huge fan of yours. Like I've been watching Stakkd for a very long time, and I love the talks you've been involved in. So anyone watching who hasn't like explored that, like definitely, it's just excellent how you kind of listed up all these categories of things that are out there and how, all the dialogues that you're facilitating. So I'm just honored to be here today with you.
Oh,
Jessie.
thank you. Yeah, we're really excited to have 50 Skills on the database. They're a partner of Stakkd. We try to get as many products as we can, with all the details about them, so it helps everyone kind of discover what's out there. So really, really happy to have you there. And yeah, I think this visual that you've done on what is, what is an automation?
Let me share. Yeah. So can you see the screen right now, Jessie?
Yeah, that's perfect. I can see it. I hope everyone else can see it.
So basically, I think I want to walk this through this kind of layer by layer. Like you have this, like you mentioned, like we're talking about AI, and then you're talking about automation, and then AI workflows, and agentic workflows, and AI agent, and like what's going on. And so I had this drawing that I'm going to pop up here and show you. But I think like one kind of axis to look at is like, if you look at like just these basic automations, like these old school workflows, they are basically just very deterministic. They're kind of like going into a math calculator. So it might be like in a context of HR, it might be something like an onboarding process, like there's a new hire signaled from your ATS or a form you fill out or something. And like what should happen when that new hire is kind of triggered? Like we have a new hire coming, an old school workflow system could just like send a welcome email, and maybe there's an integration, add them to an HRS. So it's like
And
very deterministic.
very basic, and it's not going to make the welcome email different every time. It's going to be like a set template that you send. It's not going to like customize and make this beautiful personalized email. It's going to be like whatever you type in that template, it's going to be like this, then do this, then do this. It's not going to think on its own or create anything
It might
funny.
have, I mean, it might have something like first name is like replaced
Okay,
with the
maybe
name.
first name.
Yeah, but not like it's not gonna like look at the, I don't know, the dialogue you had with that person with the transcript and write something personalized. It's just like a old school workflow, and those are great. They can do a lot of things. They're very deterministic. And then you have this other kind of segment that people are talking about, like AI workflows. Now, what is an AI workflow? So if in the context of a workflow builder, like we're talking about today, that might be the same thing as here, but in this workflow, you might have added like one action that does write that personalized message. So it's actually looking at maybe the person who's getting hired. It looks at the information you give it. You often call that the context window. So it could be like, who's this person who's coming? What information do we have about them? And because you have maybe the entire history of communications with that person, whether that's email or other things, it can actually write something personalized. So there you could just have just like you could go into ChatGPT or Claude or something and write a prompt like, hey, write a personalized message to Jessie here, and like put that into and then I'm going to take that and put it into the email. You can have that as a step in between. And an AI workflow can have one or more of those, right? So it's still very deterministic. It's still like when this action finishes, the next action will get started. When that finishes, the next one will get started. So it's very kind of step by step structured, but it can make the experience a lot better. And you can add those in multiple places. So you could start by doing something like you're onboarding someone, it writes a personalized message. Maybe if you're onboarding them, maybe they uploaded a photo somewhere and you need to validate if the photo is good enough because there might be like a background check or a visa application or whatever. So you could have a step where the AI checks that as well. And if it's all valid, then it kind of moves forward. If not, it doesn't. So you can kind of like really configure what exactly should the AI do here, step by step. What are you feeding it? And like if it's, and you can have multiple branches. Like if the photo is good, do this. If it's bad, do that. If you're not sure, do something else. So you can kind of map this up the way you want to in this kind of sense.
And before we jump to the next bit, I think it's important to note that the automation part of it is just that it's doing it without you doing anything. So the workflow is what it's automating, right? So a workflow automation is just saying we have these steps and we want it to do it without a human. So I use it, for instance, in my business to be like, when anyone signs up to my, pays me on Stripe, it automatically sends a welcome email to everyone. That's like the basics of what it does, right? I don't have to do that. So every time someone pays, I don't have to remember like, oh, it's 12 o'clock at night and someone paid me, I have to send them a welcome email. It just like, boom, it sends it. That's the automated part. But the workflow part, I defined. So I'm like, I want this to happen, and this to happen next. And I think it's very important. Automation on workflows are fantastic, but not if the workflow sucks.
No, 100%.
Just want to die like that.
And most people, they don't even map up the way they do stuff, right? So this could be mapping up the way to do stuff. And it could all be automated, like you're saying. You could also not have it automated. You could have it like automated to the point where you say, well, before you write the personalized message, let me know and I want to check it off or something.
Yeah. And like have that human in the loop,
exactly.
I'm not going to go past this point in the step without you telling me I'm allowed to go ahead. And I think for HR workflows, I think that can happen in a lot of cases actually, where you want it to do some stuff, but you do really want to have that check before things just, send out, right?
Especially when you're starting with something, like you might want to like, before you kind of just put on full automation of something happening, you might maybe for the first 10 times or 100 times, just like check it off before it goes off to make sure it's really working the way you want to, kind of giving you comfort. So there's all sorts of ways of how you like implement these and go live with it. But that's like, but basically being in control and governing it is one of the key things here.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's where there's a lot in that space that HR can do without even moving to the agent space, like not even going anywhere near that yet. Like even just the workflow without AI, the workflow, with AI, this automations can do a lot for HR. There's a lot of use cases. There's a lot of things that actually this is more suited for than what's coming in the next, when you click next. But and I think that's where people, they're like, oh my God, AI. And I'm like, actually, step back. I think aside from these things that we're looking at now, the biggest thing is actually design of the workflow. Like, what are we actually automating? Does this make sense? Like, we used to do it like that because we had limitations. Now we don't have as many limitations, or we have these cool tools. So let's like reimagine how we can do this, right? That's what I like about this. It gives you so much space for creativity.
100%. It's also like for a lot of people that are looking at this, like it might, like you're probably, most of you or all of you used to using AI. I think there's even like a poll in the chat about how often you use it. So if you can fill that out to see how it compares to the group. But like you could, of course, just like you're onboarding someone, and then you could go to a chat-based client and you can write, hey, write me a personalized message to this person, and add a ton of information and content. So it does it. But then you're like manually doing it every time. But like the point here is like you're kind of taking that prompt, you're making sure it happens automatically when this triggers off. You're giving it the information you want it to have, and that can have or not have PII data depending on how you set it up. So it's actually able to perform these things fully autonomously. I mean, and fully autonomously is actually where you save a lot of time, because not having to do this manually every single time, you defined it once, you really put some time into thinking the prompts. That's where you get a lot of business value and time back in your life as an HR professional.
I'm just looking at the poll. So let's say 70, almost 80% of you have said, either daily or multiple. So only a few of you. Please vote, because it's interesting to see what people are doing. But I think that goes to show that people are using AI at work. I wonder if people are using AI and automation in combination, or are they rather using, maybe that's, people put it in the chat. Are you using like a chat to just, help you bounce ideas? Like I'd go into chat GPT and I'm like, tell me about this, help me brainstorm, like this kind of use of AI? Or is it really like using it in this kind of workflow automation space? Because less people said they're using automation regularly at work, right? Or extensively. Yeah. So I think
that's my feeling as well. Like all the polls and all the checks that we've done, like almost everyone is using a chat-based client. Like 10% of humans are using, like have signed up for chat GPT. And then you have all the other applications that are using AI. So like most people are using some sort of a chat-based client. But in our research, like maybe something like 20% of teams have started to play with stuff like this. They've bought access to one or more applications. There is like an AI in that application. They're trying to actually streamline stuff to happen automatically. So, and that's where, like in my experience, the people that I'm meeting, like I'd say maybe 1 or 2% are playing with these like AI agents at a full scale. And we'll go into that in a second. But like most people who are doing something that's actually bringing them business value, that's kind of showing, this is how much time I'm spending on it, this is how much time I've saved, or efficiency or whatever it might be. They're doing it with these types of methods.
Yeah, no, I really like that. It's interesting to see what people are saying. We've got people saying they're writing, using it for emails to save time, brainstorming, bouncing ideas, and then now moving into, workflow automations now. That's probably why people are here, so we can get into how to do that. And also people saying, workflow automations in HRIS or other tools. That's really great. So yeah, I think the step from using it, day to day, like you said, most people are using a chat-based AI right now. Like I use it multiple times a day. I think it's my new best friend. I don't know if anyone else feels like that, but I don't Google anymore. Poor Google. I just chat GPT everything. And, so I use it for everything. And it really does speed up my thought process. It gives me ideas. I try to make sure I don't do basic tasks. Like I try to also think, but what I'm very lacking in my own business is actually utilizing workflow automation. Sure, I have a couple set up, but I haven't really spent the time to like map out my flows actually and design how I want my, customer journey to go and how I want my after sales process to look like. Like I haven't spent that time, which means I can't leverage this technology. And I think that's, bad on me because I haven't done it. But I feel like a lot of HR teams are in that same space. Like we want to use it.
And they're also not sure how to, right? Like, how do you actually do it? Like, are they user friendly? Is it easy to use? Is it easy to build? How do you actually do this and make it work? And
Are we coding it or not? Because I'm sorry, but like, I'm not tech, so I actually don't want to code. I'm happy something codes for me or does all the work for me.
And so I think these are kind of maybe the two options. Like and again, I think like once you've started using just chat-based AI multiple times a day, you've kind of figured it out, you're prompted 100 times or 1,000 times, then you realize, hey, I want to start automating this stuff. I want to use this as part of workflows. So there is like this small learning curve, like learn how to use chat-based AI, play with whatever tools you like there. And when you're a little bit comfortable, you're starting to use it like on a daily basis, then you can start to get more advanced and build workflows where they're part of that workflow. Now, if we move on, Jesse, maybe to the AI agents, then what's an AI agent and an agentic workflow on those things? And an AI agent is sort of interesting. Like when you like technically when you talk to just chat-based AI, like just a Claude or a ChatGPT, that is an AI agent. It's doing autonomous work after you give it some information. It goes and does some work, and it might do it in different ways. The difference, like what most people talk about, however, when they talk about it, is like it is something that is autonomous in its decision making, and it can kind of do the steps in the order that it thinks is right. So instead of doing it deterministically, like you do this action and then you do the next, it can decide to do a ton of things. It could write a message, it could do the photo validation, it could create a contract, it can do a ton of things before moving forward. And how it decides to do that is very probabilistic based on what it believes is the right thing to do. And what it believes is the right thing to do is based on what's called the context window. It's like all the knowledge it has, all the instructions it has, all the systems it has access to. And this is something, I mean, you can technically make your own chat better by turning it into a better agent. You can give it access to your own tools that you use. You can give it access to the internet. You can give it access to a bunch of instructions that makes it better at doing things. And then you can take that agent that you've configured and you can put that into a workflow that's deterministic, like this one, or you can connect it with other agents, which is very probabilistic, and that's typically called an agentic workflow, when you have agents working together, kind of deciding what to do, when, why, what, and where, and in what order. And if I take an example of this, because it's kind of tricky to explain, let's say here in an AI workflow, you would ask someone to schedule a meeting with you. That could be like, send a personalized message to Jessie, give her 3 options, and depending on what she picks, do something else. And that could be AI involved or not, and then send a calendar invite. Like, it's pretty deterministic. You can see exactly how it works, where and why. Here, with an AI agent, that agent with the same instructions might decide to send you a message on Slack, another team member on Teams, an email to the third person, asking them all what's happening. It can take a look at your calendar. It can see that you're booked, but you're not really booked at an interesting, like you're booked, it just says blocked or something. So it can actually ask you like, hey, I noticed you're blocked, but maybe it's not really important. And these other people, they can really make it on time. And so it's sort of like sending messages, listening to it, coming back and doing something. So it sort of works like a human, like you and I would do if we were working in an org and we really need to make something happen. So that's sort of the difference between an agent or an agentic workflow, when you have many of these agents working together, and just an AI workflow where you put an agent into the workflow. Yeah. And again, like most people are getting the value from these AI workflows rather than the agent, because it's sort of like tricky in a business environment to just give a computer your usernames and password and say, you know, go do the work.
Do it and don't ruin anything, please. But actually, I think a lot of them, I can't remember where I read it somewhere. Could be completely wrong. Don't quote me on this. Something around like the more steps you have in these agentic workflows, the more likely it is to break and have a problem. So like it'll get step 1 and 2, it'll go okay, or like it'll get something through, but then they tend to break after a certain point, and the likelihood of like throwing the wrong thing out or doing something that you don't want it to do is very, very high the like longer it goes as well. I just think there's so much risk in those when you get so much benefit right now from just taking a step back and going, okay, maybe that's still developing.
I think it will get better over time for sure. And you can see with like, I don't know, like if for those of you who tried the new browser, the Atlas from ChatGPT, where you can just kind of say, you know, do something on my browser and just take control, and it will.
That's a good question. Is anyone using that? Drop it in the chat if you're using that, because I downloaded it. And I'm like scared to set it up because I'm like, what are you going to do with my stuff? Is that silly? Because like Google has everything every way, but like Google has basically everything. But I was like, I feel like I can't use this because it might just like take my bank password or something and put it in some random place. I don't know. I feel
Yeah.
like I don't want to give it access.
And it technically like could if you'd give it access. Most of them
Yeah.
have been like for OpenAI, for example, they have pretty strict privacy policies and a lot of guardrails. So they're like constantly having the agent stop doing the work and kind of asking you, are you sure you want to do this and that?
Are
But
you
it can
sure you
still
want to
do
give your
pretty
bank
amazing.
password?
Like I went on a holiday this summer in Italy, and I kind of went like, hey, I'm going there, and I just wanted to try how it works. So I said, hey, here's like 300 euros in the budget. I want to like look like someone who's going on summer vacation in Italy, and I need it by this date. And it actually bought everything for me and sent it to my house, and it looked.
Wow.
So it was like it was, or at least I think it looked good. I don't know what other my partner felt about it, but it was like so anyway, there are things you can do with it, but I think like people are really cautious. And if, in a
Yeah.
business environment, like just like you're working at a business, you're trying to get buy-in for doing whatever you want. Deterministic is what everyone is used to. And if you do a deterministic workflow and you add a probabilistic AI into it and you configure exactly what it can and can't do, it's much easier to get a buy-in from that than jumping and leapfrog into what an AI agent can do today and trying to configure it, because there are so many things that can go wrong with it. So I would definitely experiment, like play with it, see what you can do, but do it within like a safe environment. And if anyone is doing something incredible with AI agents today in this field, like we kind of described, like some agentic workflows that are really like working and you feel it's changed your life, like share it with the rest of us so we can take a look at it. But like I have hundreds of use cases here where people have actually built this. It's saving them time. They can do it step by step, and it's taking that like workflow by workflow, seeing your more time getting freed because you've automated the stuff you're doing on a repeatable basis.
Well, and that's the thing, like, we have to remember that there's only one of us. And so if I want to, like, for instance, if we go back to the example of my business where I have like someone signs up, they pay me, and then they get a welcome email. Imagine if 5 people signed up at the same time. I would have to do 5 separate emails, write the email, send it, make sure it's personalized. Like it all happens concurrently,
Yeah.
instantaneously, more or less, right? Within a few seconds. Those 5 people all get an email, within a certain time frame that makes sense, right? Whereas if I had to do that, I might be like, oh God, I have to make my kid breakfast. Then I got to take him to childcare. Then I got to come back and write one email. Then I've been interrupted by the post package coming. Could be like 3 hours delay between like someone paying and like getting a welcome email. Like that's terrible customer service. So
Yeah.
the fact that that's a very basic, that's an automation. That is not an AI automation, actually. It's not even a customized, just like a set template, actually. So it's like the first step. And that even just frees me up knowing that all my customers, no matter what time of day they sign up, they get an email. So if you can apply that to something like a candidate, no matter what time of day they sign up or they join the business or they sign their contract, they get a next steps email or they get a whatever, the data's
Yeah.
pushed to the system. Like those
Or
things can make
or
a
even a pre-screening. Like I think there's a ton of stuff like we used to live in a world that was turn-based. So you would send something in, you'd fill in an application, or you'd request a new passport, whatever it is. You have to wait for a human on the other side to actually review it, come to a conclusion if this should move forward or back or approved or look into it or whatever. Like this AI thing, if you configure it right, and that's again in a deterministic workflow where you add an AI agent, you configure exactly how
Lucas.
it work. You can
Lucas wants to see the demo. We want to see the
okay.
demo. We're
Should
about
we
to we're about to jump into it. We're about to jump into
jump
it.
we can jump into the demo right now. I think people want
I
to
think
see the.
we want to talk about use cases and then take a use case. So I think as we get it up, right, we
Let's do that.
there's so many things you can talk about on these topics, but
So
appreciate
we can get
Lucas.
back to some of these things later on with like how it's making it easier. Let me just the demo. I'll show you the use cases. But basically, our product 50 Skills, it's a workflow builder, and our intention is that it should be easier to use than anything else out there. So like most of the workflow builders today, they're used by technical people, IT people. We're very kind of skilled at that part. But our belief is that you can make it easier and give agency to way broader section of the workforce where they can actually map up their own stuff, build it, make it work. And so I'm going to show you the product where you can basically just like you can build a workflow like an IT routing ticket or a parental leave request, whatever you can think of. We'll build something together now. You can trigger the workflow to start and have an AI actually solve cases live. So we're going to just show you how that works. There's a ton of use cases we could do here. Like all of us working in HR, like ranging from onboarding people to offboarding to employer requests to whatever you can think of. You might have some tools already that do some of these things built in. But like the point with the workflow builder is that you can build whatever you want. as long as a person is moving through it, and it should be easy to automate. So Jessie, I wanted to start with this for the audience to show it live really quickly, to actually just like for all of you watching, if you scan this code, you get a form. And if you fill out the form and you put in like, tell us something about you, just like some fun snippet information, what will actually happen is that an AI agent will take a look at that and write a joke and send it back to you in a text message or an email live right now. So if some of you can actually try that out right now, and I'm going to show you the system, how it works, and we can go straight into the use cases and the demo. Does that sound good, Jessie?
Yeah, sounds good. I did it. I just checking the link worked. It worked, but I did it the other day when we were testing it, and I got a joke back. I said something like, it asked you a question about what do you like, and I said something like, I like going to the gym, and I can't even remember the joke now, but my.
So we already have some people who have filled this out. So basically, whenever you fill it out, it will pop up a new person here. So just like for the fun of it, you can add whatever you want here. So just you can put something. So Jess, you put something in, I think, which is just like so basically Jessie filled out this form here.
What did I get as the joke? I can't remember.
So the form is, it's a bunch of people filling this out here. You can kind of see how they filled it out. It's happening. So it's the form just looks like, if I just go into it here, the form looks like this, which you would see. It's just like a simple one, like tell something about you. And then when you fill it out, like if I trigger Bri here, he puts in some info about himself. He says something like he loves soccer and good food. And then the first thing that happens is that the AI joke is like, we'll run this prompt and write a joke message for him. Now he didn't put in his, he put in his phone number, so you can kind of see, why did the soccer player bring string to the buffet? In case he wanted to tie the match and grab some food. So you can kind of see how this plays out. Now, so what you might want to do is like here, you can just to show you how this works. So we have an AI joke here, and it's writing like a joke message and a subject line for the joke. So here you can see like all the jokes that are being created live right now for the people in the audience. It's constantly being filled out. You can see more people filling this thing out live here. And so you can kind of see what did people write and what came out of it. So if we just look at what did people write here, you can look at that in the beginning, like tell us something about you. Let's just move right to the top so you can see this quickly here. So tell us something about you. Like somebody says, I love cooking, I'm Italian, and I also love tech. Who is this? This is Elena here. And it just says like, why don't belly dancers use AI ovens? Because they can only shimmy, not simmer. So I think we're seeing this live now, Jessie, right? So you're seeing like people are filling this out live for those of you who haven't tried it, you can just scan the code and play with it.
So the thing that this shows us is that, so basically when you do a workflow, you can see the status of people going through that workflow, which I think is very, very nice to be able to see that overview of like progress, who's done it, who hasn't, where they're at, did it trigger, were there any issues with the triggers? I think that's also important because you know how sometimes it goes into a black box, like you feel like you do an automation, you're like, did it actually work? Yes. That's how I always feel. I'm like, did it send something silly and did it actually do it? I think that's what I really like about this overview, but happy to see how us actually build one of these workflows. I think, what was it that we had talked about was a good use case? I can't remember now.
So we could go into a ton of these, and there's like, we can go into what our customers are using this for. Like this is real data, like they're onboarding people, they're offboarding people, there's employer requests. And there's one that I did some small cheap prep for before the talk, which is like, I was hoping that you'd be okay with it. It's just doing like an employer request for benefits, like health benefits. And I just wanted to show you how we can build one of those live right now. So I actually built a workspace here called Jessie's Webinar. And I just wanted to actually build it step by step. And so anyone watching could do the same thing later today or see how it's done, if that's okay with you.
Go for it. Yep. Okay. So would that mean people can just log in to the tool and see this?
Yeah. I mean, so people can sign up and try it on their own, or we can publish this template later on so they can duplicate it into their account.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's free to try. So nobody needs to worry about anything, any credit cards or anything like that when they're trying it out. So let's just take a look at this. Like you're building a workflow, it's step by step. So every workflow, it starts with something called a trigger.
Just 1 second. Is it full enough screen for everyone? Can we make it more full screen on your screen?
Yes, I can make it full screen like this. This is better.
And then zoom in maybe. Yeah, I think that's a bit better. Is that all right, everyone? Better? Good. All right, we're good.
Let's just start with like a form, right? So you need to have a form here. And I actually had like this, I actually had this window here where I just have like the Google Doc with some things to help us out with. So just go here and open it up and build a form. And I'm going to build a form now. And I'm trying to go like, what should the form be called? We just call it like health benefit something grant or whatever, like health benefit something.
So you're dragging in some stuff from the side. Is that what you did?
I can drag, yeah, I can drag in stuff from the side or put it there. So I want to maybe ask people like, I don't know, let's just say that I want to ask people about like they're filling out a form for a gym membership of some sort. So it might be like having some text here. I can drag it in or just click it, and then I can just fill out like some text. So this is like instructions for the employee. So like as an employee, you
Mhm.
have the right to a certain range of health related benefits, like a gym membership or something like that, flu vaccination and physiotherapy, right? And then we can just do something like, I don't know, let's just do a single choice question here and like type of benefit. And you can add options. So people are just picking. Again, this is nothing to do with AI now, but it's just kind of prepping the work. So it's like a gym membership, it's a flu vaccination. I'm sorry for the cheat sheet here. It's just to save us time and like typing these things out live. So maybe we want to have an image. So I don't know what you're in for. We can have an image on the top to make it look nice. And we have like an integration with Unsplash here. So I don't know, we can do like benefits or something and pick, I don't know if you have a photo. This one looks nice. So it already starting to look like a good form that people could fill
So
out
this
to
is the
trigger this
input
thing.
form, right? And you're giving it the context, it's giving the data fields that people have to fill in to like.
Exactly. Like all the details. So people know what this is. If they would see this on a portal or a link or whatever, it would be there. And then maybe we have like some attachments. So somebody has like, I don't know, let's go file upload. And we can
Oh,
just
an
write
onboarding workflow. There's one, I think, Taggy, there is one in the system. We can show you after this one. It's
yeah,
like
well,
it's like very quite long and detailed and has lots of ifs and buts and whatever I
yeah.
think is
And we'll also
questions.
have like a
Show
link to
that.
templates on our website that we can put in. Actually, some of my people, people from my team who are watching, you can maybe send a link to templates from our website. So there's like a ton of examples that we could go over later. But just kind of walk through step by step now how we would build one of these might be interesting. And maybe we have something like, I don't know, let's just say this is amount. So somebody's filling out a health benefit application. They have the right to get like a flu vaccination or something. They're filling out this form and they're maybe putting up details about who they are. Like let's just say like, you know, your information, and we want to maybe move down the email and the full name. So this is takes a second to build, right? This is not tricky. So just save this, and I could actually like copy this link and send it to everyone in the audience right now, and you could fill it out and it would work. So it's like it's really quick at just working. You can preview it in a mobile if you want to see how this would work out. So, okay, we got the first one. We have a form. So somebody fills out the form and then nothing happens. So what do we want to do? We want to maybe start with an agent checking out if this form is valid or not. And so we have like, you can build as many agents as you want in the system, but we built something here that we just call, we have a good name, like a receipt agent. So it's just like somebody that's looking like take a look at the receipt and determine the next step or something like that. And so we have like when you're putting up an agent, the first thing you do is you put in a prompt, right? And so we have like a prompt here that's really basic. It's just like, if you can see it here, you're reviewing a receipt for reimbursement, right? Check if it's a legitimate one, just make sure that you have stuff like total amount paid, that kind of stuff, similar. And then like decide if it's approved or rejected, nothing else. And now the prompt is just text. It's not looking at anything. So how can we do that? And so what you can do here is that because they filled out the form, you can basically say, okay, details here. I have something called type of benefit. And I can click the plus sign here. And here I can see all the details, like type of benefit was a question in the form. I'm going to put whatever they put in, like whenever they filled that out, that's going to actually pop up in the prompt here. And the same thing with amount, like somebody put in the amount of what this was supposed to be, like how high was the cost of the receipt, you put that in. And so now the agent is like prompting this and coming up with a solution. And when you go for like a chat GPT and you prompt something, you always get text back as the response. So if you just put this into chat GPT and put this info, you just get a text back as a response. But you can do this thing that's interesting that's called structured outputs. And when you do a structured output, you can have multiple types of responses where you kind of give the AI instructions on how it should respond. And so we could have something like valid, which is just like, this is just, it's true if it appears to be a valid amount and it's kind of like it's there. Then we can say, okay, we don't want to just know if it's valid or not. We want to just have like maybe the reason why it's valid. So you could do something like paragraph, like reason why valid. Like explain why it's valid or something, and just do it in short text. You can then do another thing, and I'll just show you this in a second how this comes out. So you can kind of, you now have like, is this receipt valid or not? Why is it valid? So it's sort of like you decided what the outputs are. We also here above, we told it like, take a look at the benefit and the amount, but we also had an attachment, like people are filling out the receipt itself. So let's just make sure it has access to all of this data. And so now it has like a prompt built in with all these additional files and outputs. We might want to give it like additional like instructions. So something like here, just to show you here, like quickly, like you're reviewing a receipt for reimbursement request to approve it or not. Like this is just the instructions. And these could be really detailed or simple depending on what you're doing. You can decide what models you want to use, ChatGPT models, like let's just use the 5 one. And you can decide if it has access to the internet or not. And this is sort of a funny setting that not a lot of people know about. Like, but temperature is sort of like how creative you want the AI to be. 2 is like a drunk salesperson, and 0.05 is like very deterministic math, like a German engineer, you might say, Jessie. So anyway, so this is here. This actually works now. If I would put something through it, it would like have an AI review it and come up with the solution, and we could take a look at that if we wanted to. And let's just to see how it works right now, let's just call it gym membership here. And let's just put one person through this journey just to see how it works, and then we can kind of build more. So we add somebody to it, and we can just take the form here. And sorry, just open the journey builder, take the form, the link, share it, copy it, open it up here. And I can just go, okay, it's a gym membership. And I actually had some files prepped here. So I have like a Fit Zone premium membership for like 948 euros. I'm just going to upload this one. So it was like 948 euros, and it's just like my email here. Let's just put that in, and Kristjan just here, and send it in. And so I sent that in, and just like with the AI joke, I just sent like this is now being reviewed by the AI agent. It filled out the form, and the agent is kind of reviewing it. And it takes like a couple of seconds depending on the prompt and everything, like the attachments, how long that takes, but it's typically 5 to 10 seconds to build. But this is like often a good way when you're building a workflow, just build one action, see how it works, make sure it's kind of doing what you want it to do, those sorts of things. And so it should pop up green in just a couple of seconds from now. While that's happening, you can also configure like the fields you want to see. So now it comes with like my phone number and email and everything. I might want to hide some of these things because they're just not relevant. So I can either hide them one by one or just like all of them at the same time. And then I want to see all the AI stuff. So I want to see like, is it valid or yes, and why? So now it's been completed. I can also take a look at it here. The AI basically says like, okay, it ran through the prompt. It says it's valid, and the reason, like it shows a legitimate gym membership from this company with the VAT number, date, all these sort of things. And that's why it thinks it should be valid. So now I know like, okay, it seems to be able to do the job, but maybe I want to improve this. Like, what should it do if it's valid? And then you can kind of build here a branch. You can build conditions. You can say, look, like if it's valid, and you can just do this called a condition here. You can say something like, if valid is yes or something you want to call it, you can just go here and say, oh, okay, the AI agent here was trying to do a bunch of things. It's doing if it's valid or reason if it's valid. I'm going to take a look at the valid part. So if that is true, then it should go this way. But if it's not, and I can just duplicate this one and move it here to the side. If it's not true, if it's false, it should do something else. And so this is kind of how you build up the workflow, Jess. It's like you kind of go, okay, like I have the agent, and now I can just play with it. Do I want it to?
And you can just decide like, well, what happens next? I think this is very interesting what was just said, that it's very precise and makes things really easy to evaluate. And I think that's one of the things that I would need if I was thinking about what tooling I'm going to have in a business or how I'm going to set these up, is you need to understand what the tool's doing. You need to know why it has, what it reasons, how you're going to go back and see what it's done, status of everything. Like you want to know how many people have gone through the onboarding flow, how many people have requested, this, where did it get stuck, whatever it might be. There's a lot of like data on where people are at, but also why the AI, if you're using it, gives you that output and tells you what it did. And I think that's very important.
And this is sort of the key thing. It's often like mapping these things up. I mean, and also like, how do you want them to trigger, right? So you can you can have it like a form like there, and you can have the form on a portal. Some like it's a portal that comes with the systems. You can put it like on a portal for all of your employees, and just tell
Mhm.
your employees, hey, if you need anything, just fill these things out, and we'll kind of trigger automatically. Or you can, and so if you fill out like, I don't know, a car parking request for your work or something, it will automatically trigger that workflow. Or if you like request for a new computer, like that will automatically trigger a workflow. And you can decide if there's a human or an AI or something in between that tackles
And
it.
Kristjan, we have some questions. One
Yeah.
is people want to see the onboarding flow. So I think we'll show like a full out onboarding like template in a minute. But also, what are the main differences between this kind of product and Zapier, for instance?
Yeah, great question. So there's a couple of things that are different. I think the first one is that this is only intended for people processes. So basically, when you click something like the gym membership, you can see all the people who've gone through this workflow. And if you click them, like the workflow that's being built is always around how that person traveled through it. And because we do that, how you build the workflow and all the actions you see here, they're always intended for the person who's flowing through it. So when you're sending an email, for example, you can say send it to it's called the traveler who's going through the journey. So you always have that context of the person moving through it. And because you do that, it's easier to build and navigate and understand. It's also nice that if you go for like all the people who've gone through all the processes, you can click them. Like if you click my name, I've gone through 50 processes, 40 processes. And if you click any of these processes, like a parental leave one or something, you can see exactly how I have traveled through that one. So you can see like all your people, all the processes in one place. And
So you
if
can
you
actually
click,
see the people experience journeys that they're having. So how did
yeah,
Jessie experience this workflow automation, and how did whoever? Is there any reporting um, for
yeah,
these?
of course. So you have like you can both there's the statistics. So you can have like you can have one or more portals or forms. You can see how the data through it. Like if you want to take a look at a week or 30 days or something, so you can actually see how many times it's being viewed and submitted. This is a demo, so it kind of has few submissions, but in general, you'll see like all the submissions happening here. And so you can also think like every time you do a task, right? How long does it take you? And if it's something like onboarding, like a lot of folks are wondering about onboarding, so we just kind of go here and take a look at it. Like, like how much time does it take you to onboard someone? And it might like our estimates from a lot of our customers is that it's taking them like them and all the people around it hours to onboard a single individual, like with all the tasks. But here you could like you can collect all the info that you need from someone, like just build a form where you collect whatever it is that you need. And we're all different. Like some people are requesting like clothing sizes, others are asking for computers. um, and then you can have like AI in between checking if like certificates are valid, to allocate buddies, that kind of stuff. And you can have it do all the things that you need. Like it can create the paperwork all fully automated. You can have an AI agent check if the paperwork is inside the scope of what's within the company's knowledge base, like it's okay. You can have it send it to e-signing. You can have it like create users and update records in all of your systems. And so you can
And
kind of like automate like with human to human doing it in the right places, and then AI where it belongs.
And someone's asked, Caitlin's asked, does this work with all HRIS systems? So if let's say you've got a form as like the data capture. If I already have let's say I have a HRIS, it's capturing that data
Yeah,
already. I already have the t-shirt size, I already have this. Can we pull that data in and push a workflow? Like, how do
a
we,
hundred
how do we
percent.
trigger
So
like
100%.
10
So
days
if we
after they start, they get a t-shirt sent to them or whatever?
yeah, so let's yeah, exactly. Like how would you want it to be, right? And so you can integrate with anything you want. So how that works is that if we go for the gym membership, let's say for this whatever reason we wanted to once somebody puts this in, you wanted to maybe just create them as a user in your HR system or something. You'll see here below like all the integrations that you've added. And so it could be an HR system, and then you could just pick like what the system is. And then you can just say, okay, I want to create them as a user in Bamboo. Now, Bamboo requires you to have like this data fields filled out. So what you do is that you say, okay, email. I want to use the person's email. So that's going to automatically get filled. Maybe you don't want to use their Gmail that they used when they applied for the job. Maybe you want them to have like a company business email. And then you could first have like a task created for somebody in IT or yourself to create that before it moves on and creates them. So you can kind of you can really map up how this works. And it
Mhm.
might be asking for their genders, or you might want to make sure, how do I get that info? So it's often like when you have an integration, you look at what does that integration need for somebody to get automatically created there. And you just make sure that you have that data. And if you don't, then you collect it along the way.
And can you pull the data out? So this is pushing data in, like I want to push data in.
Yeah.
Can you pull data out as well? So I want to say my trigger is from the ATS to the HRES, start date is X, and then that start date triggers a workflow where it says, take all the data that we've already captured in my HRES on the onboarding and push now these. Like what we used to do was like manually send a welcome email every day, email the manager on the first day, enroll them into all of the appointments and stuff that, you know, they have to go through, send them a t-shirt, like it was like horrible, right? For like hundreds of people every month.
You can automate all of those things if you want to, and it can both get, and so anything that the API of the system that you're connecting with allows. So Asana, for example, is a task management software. So you can create a task in Asana, you can give the task a status, and then you can always look at if the status changes, it should do something else, like move forward. Like it could be in waiting mode. For those of you who are using maybe Jira or Monday.com, it works the same way. You can just take a look at the status and then move forward automatically when something finishes. And the key here is and it's not hard. Like if I kind of just show you, I think we even had like a live Slack integration or something here just to show you how it works. So we could do something like Slack, and we could just like post a message to a Slack channel. And here we've already added like which Slack channels can you add, and you can just like pick the one that makes the most sense. And then you can, if I just pick it here and manually, like you can pick the ones that we allowed. And so this is going to go to the HR team, and we can do something like, hey, and then you can just type out like their whatever, like first name, just filled out this benefit report. And so because the integration is there, it's like super easy to add. And now this would actually work. Like if we would fill this out again right now, it would actually send a Slack message on the channel.
Great. And so we have about 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
And is there anything anyone wants to see or that we didn't cover around like how, you know, what is an automation versus an AI automation versus an agent, or anything around how, you know, you can use tooling to build out workflows in HR? Is there a use case that you're like, I'm not sure how I would do this? Are there any questions that we didn't answer? Because the whole point of this is for you guys to walk away feeling like, okay, I know the difference. I know when I can use them. Maybe some use cases would be interesting, Kristjan, as well. Maybe we can get up and have a look at some of the use cases.
I would love to share some use cases really quickly as well. And also, like, I mean, Jessie, you're also like an expert in this. You've seen all these tools and systems. And like our goal here, I mean, our goal is really to make this easy enough to use for everybody, right? That's like a challenging one, like lowering the threshold so that people have more agency. That's really the objective. So, I mean, you've seen
two questions came in. We've got, what is a use case for AI in performance management? I'm not sure if performance management is something that you guys touch on, but you can answer that question. But also the second one was, how easy is it, plug and play, to like adapt your processes? If you need to reconfigure manually, blocker is data privacy, GDPR issues, ISO certification, these kind of things coming up too. Maybe you've got to answer those ones.
Yeah. I mean, if I just start with the performance management one, there's a ton of ways you can do it. There's like, you can automate when, for example, people do one-to-one interviews with their manager. You can have an AI that sends questions to both people before the interview, for a form to both people, and then an AI reviews it and kind of creates the agenda for the meeting. After the meeting, it can actually create a small report that goes to both people. And then before the next, and it can automatically create them again in that kind of interview, like however many times you do that, if it's like on a quarterly basis, annual basis. And then before the next one, it will go, hey, last time, this is what we talked about. And it's like, so some people are even doing like meeting transcripts for the one-to-ones and putting the transcript in there. Some don't like that because of privacy. So there's all sorts of ways. This is, again, like, how would you want that workflow to work? Regarding the second question with like data privacy and all those things, like we're trying to make sure we do all the best practices there. Like everything we do is hosted in Europe. There's zero data retention, where we have like an enterprise API with OpenAI, like data processing agreements, everything pretty clear on our security part. And I think like most of the tier one vendors, that's what they're doing, but it still doesn't take away the part, like when you're building a workflow where you can add AI in between, like in this type of tool, you can actually control what data goes in and what doesn't. Well, if you give someone like access to ChatGPT or Claude or Copilot in your work, they can just put whatever they want in there. So this actually kind of gives you more governance to see what's going on, what's happening. Yep. Is this the way we want it or not? So it's often easier than people think to get approvals for those sorts of things.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's just so many things you can do with automations. It's always, for me, it's always about, especially if I think my, going back to being having to decide who works on what in teams. There's so many things you can do. It's about what's going to give you the most return on investment and leverage and help your business move forward. And everyone's going to have a different use case that they need for their business. So their business needs X and Y right now. Other businesses are going to need other things. I think what's interesting is to see what other companies are potentially, oh yeah, here you have some data up on it. Like, what are other companies actually automating? So this is what
Yeah, I
people are
mean,
using
you
for,
asked me
right?
to prepare this like actual data. Like this is real
Yeah.
data from our customers, like what they're actually building and using. And so most of our customers, they've built something around like the people cycles, like people coming on board and being onboarded, or people leaving, being offboarded, or being what some people call crossboarding, like they're moving positions, that kind of stuff, and all the paperwork around these things. Like that's the most common use case. But they're building it for so many other things. Like they're building it for like all sorts of events that they're hosting, all sorts of employer requests, they're screening candidates, like background checks. But the one that I actually think is most interesting is this bottom one here. So these are basically bespoke processes. So people are they have their, like every one of us here listening, we're doing different types of work. And like the ability to actually map up what you're trying to do with your systems and tools and making that happen, that's kind of the unique part. And that doesn't fit us, like that doesn't even fit the smallest one, the contract management category. It's like thousands of different things that people are building and using this for. And so I think that's really the big part. It's kind of like a spreadsheet, like use it for what you want. And
Yeah.
sure, there's like a ton of examples, there's templates on the website, but like really just like solve your own use case. That's the key.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, I really love that. I like seeing the data of what people are doing because I think it's always good to just have like ideas in the back of your mind of what you could do. But again, it's got to fit your business and what you need. I think there was one thing here around, I think offboardings and this kind of like sensitive communication. Pablo is one of those things that fits into like the other very unique, you do it how your business needs it. And I think I'm going to say here that unless you have mass offboardings, which you can have when you have layoffs, I still wouldn't necessarily you have to be very careful around timing. Where there's a
Yeah,
human in the loop or where sometimes humans really need to do things, do it. If it's a low amount of people, do it. You don't necessarily need to automate every step, or you have lots of triggers in place where don't send this unless I approve. Those are kind
absolutely.
of ways you can send up these very time sensitive or very, yeah, unique, situations at work where you need to be very, very careful around timing. So there are ways to do it. Just making sure you have the human in the loop in the right spot.
Yeah.
Again, it's around designing that flow, right? It's all about the experience that you as a human get at the end of the day and how easy it is and low effort on the HR side to actually administer that
Yeah.
experience. You want the experience to be amazing and low effort for HR.
And,
That's how
and
we want to go, you know?
And I would also say, like, when designing it, like, you don't have to have a white canvas. Like, you can, like, we do have, like, something called the journey builder here, where you can just say, like, build me an onboarding journey or something. And it's trained on our own data. So you get it in text and you can kind of really quickly have this as a brainstorm partner. You can find this one on our website and we'll just kind of, I should have probably given a little bit better instructions, but you kind of get the idea. You can ask it and it will actually, like, look at our system and, like, step by step, this is how you could build it, right? That's one option. We also have, like, similar to like a Lovable, where you can say it in the product. This is in beta for selected customers, but you can basically ask it to build something here and it will just map up the actions for you. So we're
Mhm.
always like striving to make it easier and easier to build. We have some people playing with this in the closed beta right now. We've been getting some phenomenal feedback because, like, how do you want to build with AI? Like, there's a
Mm.
ton of tools where you can build like a full product, but how can you kind of prompt it and what should you get in return? And that's the kind of, like, I'd love to work with you on this, Jessie, and the community at Stakkd to kind of just like, in a perfect world, how should something like this work?
I mean, perfect world would just be done for me right now. I don't have to
Yeah,
do anything. No.
but that's the thing. Like let's
We
say
still want jobs, everyone. We still want jobs.
yeah,
Um, there
if
are
we
dashboards available. I think there's dashboards. There's reporting. What kind of reporting can you share? Like status of where things are at with other people? What can you do on that space? The reporting side.
yeah,
I
like
think that's something that is very powerful to know what's going on around that.
I mean, you obviously have like these dashboards, like I showed you before, but just if we take the AI joke, I mean, we can just go like, there's so many like filters and stuff you can play with. So you can go, okay, I want to take a look at everybody that has started, is not started, has like certain type of filters in, so you can have like multiple ones. And then you can kind of play with like if somebody wants languages to be in a certain language, like I think I saw something like
I think more high level. So like high level
okay,
dashboard, like how many workflows do we have active? How many people have been through them?
Got it.
out of
Yes.
this kind
So
of
you can.
dashboard, maybe.
So I think you have more like the traveler profiles here, where you can kind of play with that general company data. So you can have like all the people who've been through
Yeah.
all the
Okay.
processes, and then you can
Great.
filter around that, like how many have been through this and that one, and you can play with this year from between. And so you play with it, but there's also the ability of just exporting all of this and playing with it in a BI tool or syncing those together. So
Yeah.
there's all sorts of ways that our customers have been playing there.
Very cool.
The
Well,
maybe
I think
final thing.
we're out of time, Kristjan. I don't want to keep people.
Okay.
We're out of time. We would love to keep going, but I think everyone who's joined, thank you so much for the time. By the way, I wanted to let everyone know I have an AI for HR community around transformation. We're just like a bunch of people in there. I'm going to share the link in the chat if you want to join. It's free to join, because I feel like part of these things are all about connecting. And if you haven't shared your LinkedIn, please drop it in the box. Connect to each other on LinkedIn. We're all in here for the same reasons. We're all trying to learn. So the learning space, make sure you don't lose that. You can obviously find out more about Kristjan and 50 Skills. There's the links here on the screen. You can scan the code. You can also jump into 50 Skills. It's free. You just like jump into, you don't have to put a credit card to like check it out and use it. You can play with it. You can have a look at all their templates. They have hundreds. And then of course, if you haven't been to Stakkd and seen the database, you can also jump over there and see Stakkd, the database. But yeah, please do connect with each other. I'm also going to do my best to get, I think this afterwards, you can still see like all the messages. So I'm going to do my best to try and connect with everyone who I'm not connected with on LinkedIn. But if I don't for some reason, please just reach out. And Kristjan, I'm sure, is the same. He would love for you to reach out and connect. But really, this is for you guys. So thank you so much for joining. I hope we answered questions. I hope this was useful. Let us know what you think. If there's a poll, I don't know if there's a poll up there. I think we do, which has feedback.
Yeah, I think we can put the poll right now. It's kind of what you thought about the webinar. If there's anything we could do better, we'd love to hear your thoughts and how you just liked it in general.
To let us know how you feel, because we want this to be good. So give us your honest feedback, and then let me know if I should do this again, because then I can organize more of these fun sessions where we can all connect and learn together. So again, thank you, Kristjan, for joining. I really appreciate the time. I appreciate everyone who joined and all of your time as well. And we're going to see you very soon on the feed on LinkedIn, or at the next session, or live in Berlin if we're at events together. Who knows where? We will bump into each other soon. So thanks, everyone. Appreciate all of your time. And yeah, don't forget to connect with everyone in the chat. We'll give you all a couple of minutes to connect and put your LinkedIns and do the votey thing if you want to. So
awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Now I've got to work out how I